All right, so you're prepping for a bankruptcy trustee interview. That's awesome. We've got a stack of RoleCatcher resources here. Our mission is to turn you into an interview ace. We'll dive into what this career really entails, then tackle some of those tough interview questions RoleCatcher flagged. Think of us as your interview prep squad.
It's fascinating how RoleCatcher goes beyond just listing sample questions. They provide insights into what interviewers are truly looking for, almost like they've cracked the code.
Okay, so let's start with this one. What motivated you to pursue a career as a bankruptcy trustee? Seems straightforward. But what's the hidden layer here?
They're looking for genuine passion and understanding. Instead of a generic answer about liking numbers, think about what sparked your interest in this field. Was it a personal experience, a fascination with financial law, or a desire to help people navigate tough times? Find that unique story that illustrates your why.
That's a great point. Having a personal story makes you stand out, and I bet RoleCatcher's AI can help fine-tune those personal stories right.
Absolutely. Their AI analyzes job descriptions to see what resonates with specific employers. So you're not just telling any story. You're crafting one that hits the right notes for that particular role.
That's so smart. Okay, next up. How do you balance the interests of creditors, A&D debtors? This feels like a tightrope walk. How do you show you can handle that?
Think of it less as a balancing act and more as a juggling act. Highlight your communication and negotiation skills, showing you can understand both sides. While upholding legal and ethical standards, you're not taking sides, you're finding solutions within a complex system.
It's like being a mediator almost,
Yeah.
trying to find common ground.
Exactly. Mention things like transparent communication, explaining rights and obligations, and striving for equitable solutions.
Here's a question that always trips me up. How do you handle a case where the debtor isn't cooperating? What's the best way to show I can handle that kind of stress?
This is where your problem-solving skills take center stage. They want to see you're calm and professional under pressure. Walk them through your approach. Start with building rapport, understanding the debtor's perspective, then emphasizing the importance of cooperation.
So empathy first, then lay down the law if you have to.
Exactly. And showcase your knowledge of legal options, you could say. If communication fails, I'd consider legal actions like filing a motion with the court, but always aiming for a fair resolution.
That sounds much more impressive than just saying I'd follow the rules. Now, how about this one? How do you stay current with changes in bankruptcy laws? This field moves so fast. How do you show you're on top of it all?
It's about demonstrating proactive learning. Mention resources like industry publications, seminars, professional organizations, but go beyond just listing them. Say I recently attended a conference on the latest amendments to the Bankruptcy Code, or I regularly read the American Bankruptcy Law Journal.
That shows you're actively engaged, not just passively absorbing information.
Right. Think about recent developments in the field, and be prepared to discuss them. This demonstrates your commitment to staying ahead of the curve.
Okay, this next one is a bit of a brain teaser. How do you ensure that all deadlines are met in a bankruptcy case? It's not just about being organized right.
It's about demonstrating a system that works for you. Mention your process for tracking deadlines, prioritizing tasks, and communicating with everyone involved. Think about using tools like digital calendars, project management software, or even good old-fashioned to-do lists. But highlight the why behind your choices. How do these tools help you stay on top of things in a fast-paced environment?
So it's about showing you have a method to the madness, but also that you're adaptable if things change unexpectedly.
Exactly. And don't forget to highlight your communication skills. Keeping everyone in the loop prevents those last-minute scrambles.
That makes sense. And I'm guessing RoleCatcher could give me some pointers on tailoring my system explanation to different job postings.
You got it. Their AI can pinpoint keywords that specific employers prioritize. So if they emphasize collaboration, you might highlight how your system facilitates team communication.
Our last question for this section, and it's another one that requires some finesse. How do you ensure that all parties involved in a bankruptcy case are fully informed and understand the process? Seems like a lot of hand-holding.
It is, but think of it as demystifying a complex process. Highlight your communication skills, emphasizing clear language and avoiding jargon. Mention visual aids, summaries, regular updates, and open availability for questions.
So it's about making the complex understandable, even if the situation itself is stressful.
Yes. Imagine you're explaining it to someone who's never dealt with bankruptcy before. How would you make it clear and reassuring?
That's a great way to think about it. And I'm guessing RoleCatcher can analyze those job descriptions for keywords related to communication and empathy.
Exactly. Their AI helps you tailor your answers to show you're not just knowledgeable, but also approachable and compassionate. Qualities that are crucial in this field. You know, it's interesting how those communication skills keep popping up. It really highlights how much of this role goes beyond just number crunching.
Totally. It's about navigating complex human dynamics and understanding that bankruptcy is more than just a financial process. It's an emotional one, too.
Speaking of emotions, let's tackle another question that delves into that. How do you handle difficult clients or situations in a bankruptcy case?
Oof, yeah. That one feels like a potential landmine. How do you suggest approaching it?
Honesty and empathy are key. Share an anecdote from your past experience where you successfully navigated a challenging client interaction. Focus on active listening, remaining calm, and finding common ground.
So don't shy away from the fact that it can be tough.
Exactly. Acknowledge the difficulty, but then demonstrate how your skills helped de-escalate the situation and ultimately led to a positive outcome.
That makes a lot of sense. Now let's talk about RoleCatcher's career path insights. They paint a pretty clear picture of how someone can grow in this field.
What's fascinating is how they break down each stage, from bankruptcy case administrator to senior trustee, offering a real roadmap for advancement.
It's like they've mapped out the leveling up system for this career. And speaking of leveling up, how about this interview question? What are your salary expectations? That one always feels a bit awkward.
It is, but remember, it's a two-way street. They're trying to gauge if you're a good fit for their budget, and you're assessing if their offer aligns with your worth.
So how do you find that sweet spot without selling yourself short or pricing yourself out?
Research is your best friend here. RoleCatcher actually provides salary data for different levels of experience and locations, which is super helpful.
So you can walk into the interview with concrete data points, not just a vague number in mind.
Right, and be prepared to discuss your value proposition, highlight your skills, experience, and any certifications that justify your expectations.
That's smart. Okay, here's another one that often throws people off. Where do you see yourself in 5 years? Do they really expect me to have a crystal ball?
They're not looking for a precise prediction, but rather a sense of your ambition and how this role fits into your long-term goals.
So how do you strike that balance between being ambitious but also realistic?
Connect your aspirations back to the role and the company, you could say. In 5 years, I see myself as a key contributor to your team, having mastered the complexities of bankruptcy administration and potentially mentoring junior staff.
It's like showing them you're invested in their growth as much as your own. That's clever.
And remember, it's okay to express a desire to learn and grow within the organization. Highlight your commitment to professional development and your eagerness to take on new challenges.
Okay, let's switch gears a bit and talk about RoleCatcher's AI-powered feedback feature. I've heard it's a game changer for interview prep.
It really is. Imagine practicing your answers and getting real-time feedback on your delivery, tone, and even your choice of words.
That's incredible. So it's like having a virtual coach, but without the awkward silence when they're trying to figure out what to say next.
Exactly. And the best part is, it's tailored to the specific job you're applying for. RoleCatcher's AI analyzes the job description and provides feedback that's relevant to the employer's expectations.
So you're not just practicing in a vacuum. You're getting targeted advice that helps you nail the interview.
Precisely. It's like having a secret weapon that gives you an edge over other candidates.
Okay, let's get back to those interview questions. This one seems pretty straightforward. Tell me about a time you made a mistake. Do they really want to hear about my epic fails?
It's not about showcasing your flaws. It's about demonstrating self-awareness and your ability to learn from mistakes.
So how do you pick the right mistake to talk about? Should I go for the funny one or the serious one?
Choose a mistake that's relevant to the role and highlights a valuable lesson learned. Walk them through the situation, what you did wrong, and what steps you took to correct it.
So it's about turning a negative into a positive, showing that you're not afraid to own your mistakes and grow from them.
Exactly. And emphasize the steps you've taken to prevent similar mistakes from happening again.
That makes a lot of sense. Okay, last one for this section. What are your strengths and weaknesses? This question feels a bit like a trap. How do you highlight your best self without sounding arrogant?
Authenticity is key. Don't just rattle off generic strengths and weaknesses. Choose strengths that are genuinely relevant to the role and back them up with concrete examples.
So instead of just saying, I'm a great communicator, I could say, I'm a skilled communicator.
Right.
As evidenced by my ability to effectively mediate disputes between creditors and debtors.
Perfect. And when discussing weaknesses, choose something you're actively working on improving. This shows self-awareness and a commitment to personal growth.
It's like turning a weakness into a strength by showing you're proactive about addressing it.
Exactly. And remember, frame your weakness in a positive light. For example, you could say, I sometimes get bogged down in details, but I'm working on delegating tasks more effectively to ensure timely completion of projects.
Wow, that's a great example. It shows you're aware of your limitations, but also actively taking steps to overcome them.
And that's exactly what interviewers want to hear, that you're a well-rounded individual who's constantly striving to improve.
I feel like we've covered a lot of ground in this section. We've tackled some tough interview questions, explored the career path, and even delved into RoleCatcher's AI-powered feedback feature.
It's amazing how much information RoleCatcher packs into their resources. They really go above and beyond to empower job seekers.
Totally. But we're not done yet. Stay tuned for the final part of our deep dive, where we'll wrap up with some final thoughts and key takeaways to help you ace that bankruptcy trustee interview. All right, we've covered a ton of ground, from deciphering tricky interview questions to exploring the career path, and even leveraging RoleCatcher's AI for that extra edge.
It's been quite a journey through the world of bankruptcy trustees. And I have to say, what impresses me most is the depth and breadth of knowledge required.
It's definitely not just about crunching numbers, is it? We've talked about ethics, communication, empathy. It's like a whole different skill set than what I imagined.
It's fascinating how this role sits at the intersection of law, finance, and human psychology. You're not just applying rules, you're dealing with real people in incredibly stressful situations.
And speaking of real people,
Yeah.
let's talk about RoleCatcher's focus on the human side of bankruptcy. Their career guide doesn't just list job titles, it actually profiles real people at different stages of their careers.
That's a great point. Seeing those profiles really humanizes the career path. You get a glimpse into what it's actually like to be a bankruptcy case administrator or a senior trustee, beyond just the job description.
It's like having virtual mentors, sharing their experiences and insights. And I bet those profiles could be helpful for crafting interview answers too.
Absolutely. You can draw inspiration from their stories, see how they frame their accomplishments, and even get a sense of the culture of different firms or organizations.
Okay, so we've talked about a lot of specific tips and techniques, but what about the bigger picture? What are some key takeaways for anyone who's serious about pursuing this career?
One thing that stands out to me is the importance of integrity. As a bankruptcy trustee, you're handling sensitive financial information and making decisions that impact people's lives. Ethical conduct is paramount.
It's like you're the guardian of fairness in a system that can often feel rigged against the average person.
Exactly. And that sense of responsibility, of being a force for good in a challenging environment, is something that should resonate with anyone pursuing this path.
And it's not just about doing things by the book. It's about having a strong moral compass and the courage to stand up for what's right, even when it's difficult.
I couldn't agree more. And that's where continuous learning comes in. Bankruptcy law is constantly evolving, so staying current is essential for both competence and ethical practice.
RoleCatcher really emphasizes that too. They provide resources for certifications, professional development courses, industry events. They're like a one-stop shop for staying ahead of the curve.
And that commitment to ongoing education is a testament to their dedication to empowering bankruptcy trustees throughout their careers. It's not just about landing the job, it's about thriving in the role.
Now, what does this all mean for you, the listener who's about to step into that interview room? You're not just armed with answers to tricky questions. You're equipped with a deeper understanding of what this career entails, the challenges, the rewards, and the profound impact you can have.
Here's a final thought to ponder. As a bankruptcy trustee, you'll be navigating a complex web of legal, financial, and ethical considerations. How will you ensure that your decisions are not only legally sound, but also morally sound and compassionate? That's the question that will guide you towards a fulfilling and impactful career in this field.
That's a powerful way to wrap things up. It's a reminder that while expertise is crucial, it's the human element, empathy, integrity, and a commitment to fairness that truly elevates this role. So to all of you aspiring bankruptcy trustees out there, embrace the complexity, hone your skills, keep learning, and never lose sight of the human impact of your work. You've got this